That area where it would kind of pull up.
Yep.
But so that's why we definitely want to check the front cap. You know, and you're looking for tears in the rubber, or you know, this lap sealant that's around things like this. You know, if you start to see, like, that's not a crack, but if you can imagine, this is still soft, actually, you know, from the factory, really. Not soft, but I mean, it's still fairly new. It's not going to dry out overnight. Long after your factory warranty's up, these are the kind of things you're going to look for, is these cracks in this lap sealant. Because I could very easily just wipe this off with some body solvent or mineral spirits, get the mold and dirt off, let it dry, and then you just be real generous and apply more lap sealant. That's all you have to do. If you notice right there, the antenna wasn't hooked up correctly. So I had to remove the antenna, check the wiring, and you can see where my lap sealant is.
Oh, I gotcha.
So that's a good example of what a patch job or a repair would look like. You know?
Okay.
And you just don't want to have any screws exposed or anything. You know, these might, you know, get dry and kind of get brittle, and maybe one day you might have to replace these. You know, not anytime soon, but that's all stuff you just want to be mindful of.
And we did add the vent caps.
Yep.
So that way we're good. And then we also added the awning cover. The slide awning, sorry. So that way we kind of keep a better eye on things there.
It keeps
spend a
leaves
little
and
less
stuff.
time on here.
When it comes to warranty stuff, the best thing for you to do is, if it's not an emergency, meaning it's not a safety thing, it's not going to spoil your fun, the best thing for you to do, if it's just cosmetic, is just to write this stuff down, and then in the fall when you're done, you're ready to get it winterized, bring it to us. Then we have time to write a narrative, order parts, and make the repairs, you know, and then you're not back and forth, and it's not inconveniencing you either. You know, wintertime for us is the best time to do warranty because we're not slammed with deliveries and stuff either. So, you know, you will have more time to do things correctly, and it's just a better all the way around.
Cool. This is fun. I'm beginning to feel a little less intimidated, which means that I'll have my license to learn here shortly, because that's what we always said whenever I got my pilot's license. Oh gosh, somebody could come up here and see me dropping a deuce. Oh wow.
Hopefully nobody will.
I don't care if they do.
No, I mean,
they're welcome to it.
And this thing too, if you ever need to like clean out under it, you pull these pins and this thing opens up.
Oh, cool.
So if you did want to like clean leaves or whatever out of there, it's not a bad idea to wash the roof, you know, and then wash the sides of the camper. And you can do it by using one of these long stick brushes like that, like they wash trucks with.
Okay.
If you wash the roof and then you wash the sides of the camper, then you're going to want to like spray wax it. Okay, spray wax, it's a heck of a lot easier than using a buffer on something like this. Okay, that's a chore. But you're going to want to apply something to the paint so that it doesn't dry out and get oxidized. The decals, for example, they're not cleared over, they're not painted on, they're stickers. And the sun over time will try to kind of break them down and crack them. So, you know, spray wax this thing in the spring, you know, and just kind of keep that luster to the paint. The awning, this part of the fabric is always exposed to the elements that we're looking at right now, okay? So this is where they get dry rotted and they get those pinholes in them and they dry out. So the trick is to get some vinyl dressing or leather conditioner, meaning not Armor All or anything greasy that's going to shine it up and burn it, but something that's supple, I think's the word for it, that you put on like with a sponge. It's like milky, like you would actually use on a real leather. And go ahead and condition that tube when it's shut like it is now, and get that part of the fabric all nice and conditioned, and you'll never have to replace that awning fabric. But if you don't put something on there and treat it, you know, then it's going to get dried out, and sure enough, it's going to start to kind of delaminate and get cracked because that's just, you know, the elements. It's exposed to the elements, so there's nothing, you know, we can really do. The sun, the air, all those things are going to try to dry that fabric out. And the rest of the fabric is fine. It's just this first foot or so that's slid into the camper right here. This is where the gimp is and where the fabric is slid into this track, right? Well, it's just this first foot or so that's always exposed to the air that gets dry. So if you condition this part of it right here, you're not going to have to worry about it, because the rest of it, it's all tucked in. Does that make sense? It doesn't get
exposure. So that's actually called a gimp.
Well, it's not really. It's well cord or something like that. That's what they call it in upholstery. But that's what I've heard it called around the RV stuff. It's just a piece of rubber, you know. That's how it's attached to that. But if you let it dry out, it'll start to pull away from the camper, you know what I mean?
Yes.
Because that's where it's slid in.
Very nice. And down we
And
go.
there's a little bird poop there. Watch out for that. You're gonna keep that. That comes with it.
Okay, so honey, I'm on the roof and I don't have any safety devices on, so I'll have to put on my harness, and I guess I'll have to hang from the garage. What a cool thing this is. I hope anybody who watches this video is able to really kind of understand that it's not quite as scary when you have the proper walkthrough. I'm really glad that we came here to Braun's Funtime Campers to do this, and our next video will be discussing the hitch and how that works, and then we'll be towing here pretty soon, so we're real close. I do know one thing that I'm learning here with camping. It's about the same as private pilot flying. As a private pilot, one of the things that we were told right from the get-go, if you want to do a flight, make sure that you're doing it because you want to do the flight, not because you're doing it in a short time. In other words, take your time. I hear this over and over with people on YouTube, and I hear this over and over with everybody. Taking your time makes for a much safer journey, and the journey is the thing. The destination's part of it, but the journey itself is exciting to me. This whole walkthrough and learning about our trailer is as exciting to me as anything. This is great. We're going to make some good memories over the next several years. So thanks for joining me. This is Jim Reiser. Safe people, sadly. Of course, I'm wearing Crocs. Oh yeah, I got to get a picture of me walking down the ladder.
2 points of contact.
Okay.
Okay, now we're getting ready to do the hitch.
You always want to have some wood under there, underneath the tongue jack, so that you don't run out of stroke, you know what I mean? If you get that tongue jack fully extended, for one, it's about as sturdy as a baby horse when it's all the way out, you know what I mean? So you don't ever want to extend that all the way. And then again, what we're going to do is actually take the tension off the bars to take them off. So we're locked on, the ball is locked on the ball here, on the coupler. And actually, when I go to extend the tongue jack, it's gonna lift up the truck. We're actually gonna pick it up. It sounds crazy, but
Now that's going in right now.
what we're doing is we're gonna lift
I gotcha.
this up. I was going the wrong way. What it'll do is it's gonna take the tension off of these. When you lock the ball on there and you lift the truck and trailer up, now these are easy to take on and off because there's no tension on them. So I'll show you. And you only want to do this until these bars are loose and you can move them with your hand, you know what I mean? So that's how I'm going to kind of determine how high to go with the tongue jack. But it'll actually lift. Now it's starting to actually do its work, you know? We're not going to pick the truck up off the ground. We're just going to extend the, suspension. We're going to pretty much kind of get it up. It's kind of tall in the back. But I only want to do that until I get these, until I can move these with my hand. And what it just keeps you from having to use that tool and snap them in, because it's a little crude, and they'll really snap hard. When you can do it this way, it just makes it a lot easier. And you don't have to adjust any of this ever again. Now that these brackets are set, you're literally just taking the bars on and off, and then you're going to take that receiver out and put it in your front compartment of your camper so that you don't have to haul any of this around. You can always just leave it with the trailer. See how that's loose now? So I've got it up high enough where I can do this by hand. Take this pin out, drop this bar down. You got a keeper right here that you have to push up, and then this will drop out. And what we'll do before you come back is we'll put a little bit of grease in here and a little bit in here, and then we left the box in that compartment so you can store all this inside that cardboard box so it doesn't get grease all over everything. When you go to put these in, you're going to put the bottom in first. The label tells you, which way the bar should go. If not that, if this wears off, see the number on the bar back here? It's perforated, stamped in there.
Yes.
You can see it, and then you know that's the top. Yeah. And then this should easily go right there like that. And that falls back in. Sometimes this guy will get stuck up here like that. Make sure that it goes down, okay?
Okay.
And when you put these pins in, I've seen people do it like this.
Oops.
Well, it goes like that, and you always want to put this cotter pin in front to rear so that nothing ever bumps this and knocks it out, if that makes sense.
Yes.
Otherwise, you see how we've got it lifted up?
Yep.
No tension. The other side's the same way. If this doesn't lock on, because the first thing you do before these bars go on is you hook up to your ball. If this doesn't want to lock, it's because the hitch, the ball needs to be
forward
in the front of this.
Gotcha.
Yeah, it'll get in a bind if not. So you want to be real, kind of proud to the front of that.
Okay.
Sometimes you got to get in and put the truck in drive and literally kind of go forward a little bit for that
for it to pop.
to free that
That's
up.
how it is with my tractor.
Yep. But otherwise, like I said, now that this is all set, you're just literally taking these bars on and off, and you just want the extra block of wood under there. Another thing that helps when you go to hook up your truck, you want to make sure that you're straight as can be with the trailer, because if you're trying to hook this hitch work up and your truck's a little crooked, well, one side's going to be a little harder than the other side is to do, so you want to make sure that you're pretty well perfectly straight with it when you back up. Alright, now I can put the weight back on. I have to go back down. Actually, you know what? Let's take the bars off since I've got it up now.
Okay.
And put them away, and then I can unhook it from the truck, and I can show you where we're gonna store these at. These are kind of heavy. And
I figured as much.
Well, and then you don't want that thing on the back of your truck either, because if nothing else, someone will get hurt on it. But I've always found it's easier just to put this stuff right here in this front. So the whole point of the weight distribution bars, in this case, obviously it's to push the front wheels back down, and so you've got control in the front of the vehicle when you're steering. The other way these work is it's double the sway control and weight distribution, because there's so much tension on these bars when they're loaded, it actually rubs on this plate. So that is where you get your sway control. It's actually like a brake on each side, and this is the best stuff that they're putting on them now. It makes it a lot easier, and it's double the sway and weight distribution. These are 1,000-pound bars, so it's carrying quite a bit of the weight, taking it off the back of the vehicle. Now there's a tool in here that I'll show you, because if you ever are in a jam, and for some reason it's just not, the tension's still on there, that's what this guy's for. It goes in here like this, you put that in there, and you can imagine, and I won't do it because it just makes a loud noise, but that's what this bar is for, is to slam those in there. And obviously the way that I've shown you is a lot easier and less crude way to do it. This stuff we'll put in there. And now that I've got the bars off, I gotta go back down to unhook the coupler and then back up again, So I gotta retract it so I can unlock this guy, and I'll go back up. And these here, what I like to do with these is there's a place on the frame under the bottom here. They'll set right there. There's a plate under here. You can hook them like this and leave them like that, so you're not tearing up the paint or pushing them in there.
This is pretty cool because it takes all the mystique out of some of the fears that I had. Some of the biggest fears I had is I've seen people with the back end of their trucks real heavy and the nose of the trailer pointing down. Now, all of this extra work and what Josh just explained is that it takes a lot of that mystique out of it, and it's not going to be as scary for me.